My name is Steve Peters, and I'm the founder of baseconsulting.co, an end-to-end supply chain management solutions provider based in the US.
Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Huseyin. Exposap is a social media agency that help other businesses to grow their social presence and convert that presence to sales, engagement, you name it.
Hey, Huseyin. It's good to
Hello.
see you again.
Thank you so much. Me too.
Welcome. So we were just talking just now about Exposap. Where did you get the name from?
Yeah, it's basically from exposure ASAP. That's the two words I could linked. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about Exposap and kind of the beginnings? What prompted you to set this up and kind of your background a little bit?
Absolutely. So first of all, my background goes back to since I studied communication and journalism, I became obsessed with video, these type of communications, articles, all sort of video and photo, etc. So I started basically while I was studying, I started as a freelancer just to test and try to do different video types for different businesses. And then slowly it evolved into more and more, and that became actually marketing in general. And when I started to dive into marketing, it's a big ocean of infinite sciences, we can say.
Yeah, all shapes and sizes.
Absolutely, all kinds and formats. So slowly I became really interested in this, and not only to do it as a job or project based or any of that. I noticed that if I want to do anything in life, I need marketing for myself as well. I need to know how to market myself. I need to know how that if I wrap a business or a service or an offer, how to get it out there, to get exposure for it. So that was like the stepstone for me to get into this field. And by the way, Exposap wasn't my first business. I did have a couple of businesses. I made a lot of offers and services. But that's the thing, you some of them fail, and that's a very good thing because you get to learn so much from that failure, and
absolutely.
you use that to go forward into enhancing what you had before. Then I arrived into marketing in Exposap, and I started to implement everything I learned into this one business under different offers.
Makes sense. And regarding the offers, I noticed you have a new product offering called Expo Scale. Can you talk about that a bit?
Absolutely. It's a bit fun story. It started when I tried what's out there for myself, because I always test for myself, and then if I see something successful, I take it and implement it for other people on a bigger scale. Right. I become the one who provide that solution when I test it on my business and myself. So the thing is, I found a lot of those I had a niche, a specific audience, which is the business owners who are solopreneurs, those who want to do it all by themselves. And they start with very low budget. They're not backed by VCs. There is no much fund to go with. So they do something called sweat equity. That's their equity, their own effort.
Their time.
Yeah, and that's what I did basically for myself for a long period. So I noticed that when you try to do the sweat equity type of bootstrapping, building your own business, you lose a lot of time on things that doesn't work. They would work, but you should use massive quantities of effort into that one thing over very long periods of time, and that becomes draining for the entrepreneur. So Expo Scale was something that I have never seen out there in the market. Nobody's offering. I noticed that the solution for these is to not being a solopreneur, stop being a solopreneur, stop wearing all hats and have a team. That's very essential.
Yeah. It's probably the number one issue being an entrepreneur is that, you're the kind of person that wants to fix every problem yourself. You kind of know yourself pretty well. You know what you're good at, what you're not good at. And so it's a big struggle for a lot of founders, I think, to be able to eventually pass off the burden, but they often can't because of cash issues, right? So Expo Scale fixes that, right?
Exactly. So you develop that trust issues over the time by not trusting anybody to do a better job than you, which is not
Right.
important. I get that to understand. It's not important. The task should be done, whether it's perfect or like good enough. And how the other big issue is that, well, how do you get a team if you don't have enough finances? That's why you, in the first place, start to do it all by yourself. I found the alternative for this, which maybe because of an ethical ideas about this topic, people don't like to talk about this thing. But there are a lot of people who are eager to work with you, and they don't expect from you any like salary or anything, just because they
Right.
recently graduated. They just want to put their foot in the door and get to practice some real life experience.
Right.
And this goes back to demand, supply and demand. So the demand is for those people to experience something that they learned in theoretical studies for 4 years, let's say. And the supply is the businesses.
Mm.
Those who are working alone, they do have the experience because they did wear all hats. So they
Right.
can actually bring someone and show them the way. And in return, those people, the interns, let's say, which is an internship solution, they get to practice what they learned in that entrepreneur's own business. So doing that even requires many skills. You have to know how to teach marketing. Your business might not be in marketing, but what I noticed that all kinds of businesses require marketing. So instead of letting entrepreneurs do that by themselves, I went ahead and did it all by myself. I actually started an entire 90 days course. It's more like even bigger than a master class. It's an entire
Wow.
semester of education
Mm.
where I get to teach one person or multiple using one method, which is videos, everything they need to learn practically, not like theoretically, like how they do in
Right.
school, but in the same style of a school via video or Zoom, etc. And they would practice what they learned for that entrepreneur. So since it's a one-time thing that I had to do, I could have take that system and give it to multiple people
Right.
without incurring a lot of effort again and again. It's a pre-built system. And the interns would basically learn that, and they have daily assignments. So
Mm.
that's the fun part. Let's say we learned today about writing SEO optimized blogs. Now, as a one person, for example, if you try to write an article, it would take you an entire day because you're going to write like 3,000 words or 2,000 words, etc. It's and a lot of skills to learn how to optimize that. But if you teach that in the one day and you have 50 interns, you get to produce 50 articles very well optimized to how you want in one day. So
And it's
that's
a win-win situation, right? Because the
absolutely,
interns are looking for experience,
they get to
beyond the
know.
classroom.
Yeah, yeah. And they have, this is something also you notice, like you get to learn a lot of stuff over YouTube, for example. But is there someone to correct you if you do a mistake? No, there
Mm.
isn't. And you will do a mistake. Now,
Right.
everybody will end up doing mistakes, even though they watch the best tutorial on earth. But that's the advantage of working with someone because they will notice that, oh, you did that. Let's actually change it to this because of that. That's the intern's advantage. That's what they actually seek in general. So
Makes
that was the
sense.
main idea. As an entrepreneur, you probably end up using some help along the way, so you would understand how
Yeah,
much.
absolutely. Because that's, it's not only the fact that most entrepreneurs like to just figure things out themselves, but it's also because they don't have the money to do it. So they're kind of forced into 20 different jobs right at the beginning. And maybe one of them is done correctly, and the other
Yeah,
19 are not done correctly for the same, the reason you said.
yeah,
There's just not enough focus on those
ab-
19 things. And so with this expo scale thing, that fixes a lot of those issues because the interns are getting what they are looking for, which is experience and, um, you know, actual real life experience in whatever they studied. And then
yeah,
the client is getting a huge team, which is needed for most of these tasks.
Yeah.
and one of the biggest reasons why if you do it by yourself, usually it fails, because we've all seen so many YouTube videos and TikTok stuff, tips on the best marketing practices. But if you miss that one puzzle piece, which is often your team is just not big enough, it
Yeah.
fails, right?
True.
And it wasn't because of lack of effort. It just there
Mm.
wasn't enough time, right?
True.
And focus.
Yeah, and you can sample that, for example, with content marketing. If you want to produce a piece of content, well, one is not going to do anything. 10
Right.
are not going to do anything. You need like maybe 100 or 1,000. Well, if you want
Right.
to take only one, that's going to take your entire day and even maybe 2 days. If you want to write the script, shoot the video, and then edit it yourself, etc. But if you
Right.
have 50 people, they can do that 100 in maybe 20 days instead of
Right.
you doing it for a year. Yeah, so that's there's a very common thing among all entrepreneurs, which is your to-do list.
Yeah.
It's normally this long, and it's mostly not finished. Like you go to sleep and
It's never finished. Yeah,
don't
and
do
it's actually one. Yeah, sorry, it's one of those things. Yeah, right. It's never finished, and as soon as you realize, like the day that you realize that it'll never be finished, is
Yeah.
kind of a freeing feeling, because there is that constant like feeling that you still have 50 more things to do.
Yeah.
It never ends, but that's okay. That's just the name of the game.
Yeah. What I'm trying to do actually is to do the opposite, is to force the entrepreneur to have a longer list, because no matter how long you create, no matter how long your list is, the team will finish that, because there are a lot of them, and I'm sure that those kind of entrepreneurs that are not used to have that amount of support beside them, especially if you have 30 to 50 ones. So the challenging thing is that you have to do what you really have to do as an entrepreneur and actually make the list longer with things that's important. Think what would drive me faster, what's the optimized thing that I should put after and would make more growth, for example. And even that I kind of took away from I took that effort from the entrepreneur, because the course I made is in a really good order, so that you would see what's the lesson today, and you'd know as an entrepreneur if you had that lack of options or lack of ideas.
Right.
The lesson was that. So today we should do this thing, because this is like the right thing to do.
So it kind of puts the entrepreneur back into the captain seat to be able to just focus on the big picture ideas and like really put down all the goals. Because I know one of the biggest issues is, prioritizing tasks as well. You don't really know what's the most important. And there's so many different methods on how to condense them down and, really figure out how to prioritize, but it never seems to end. So this kind of seems like a way for them to organize and just focus on the big picture stuff and look towards the goals, which, and not get bogged down in all this, the actual tasks themselves, so keeps the creative mind flowing. True. So, like, what could you tell someone who is just kind of starting out with this kind of marketing campaign, or like what kind of tips would you give?
For instance, I would say that there are many ways to market whatever you have in your business. So if you're really starting out alone and you just you want to be in that period where you do it all by yourself, a great tip is that don't do them all. Like it might be really tempting to do a million things, but it's always better to focus on one or two marketing strategies and master them to go forward and see results from these. Because if you try to do all over the place everything, you would lose that ability to become the expert on one of them and actually bring results. So you'd be doing a lot and getting nothing back. But another thing is, the earlier you collaborate with others, the better, because the more you prolong this, the higher the chance that you would end up being desperate and being depressed from the business and thinking that whatever you did is not working or it's not going to work, although it will definitely work, but you just didn't have the manpower to make it work. So do depend on people, and it's okay for others to do it half the quality you do it, because that doesn't matter in the end of the day.
Right. So it seems like this expo scale thing really solves a lot of the issues that are faced by entrepreneurs. I mean,
Yeah.
just in terms of their time and you know, their
As
bottom line at the end of the day. So
Yeah, because as a business owner, you should own your time. If you don't have your time, what else do you have? That's the most
right.
valuable.
And that's the goal that we're all trying to achieve, is to have more time to do, kind of what we want, at some point.
Yeah,
But like every entrepreneur that I know has experienced, that thing where you're looking at your time and you're like, I'm working 16 hours and I have nothing to show for it. And it's
yeah,
super frustrating. And you're thinking, well, I didn't get into this for this.
right,
My end goal really was the time. And of
yeah,
course, the money is what brings you the time, but the time, time is the most valuable asset. So
ab-
this seems like this thing would really save a lot of time, but I look
yeah,
forward to, you know, hearing more about it when
yeah, and
things kind of go down the road a little bit more.
yeah. One more thing that's really interesting I learned recently is that, let's say I became an expert entrepreneur. I've got to learn many skill sets that are super high value, and you can separate between skills. Some skills are like, let's compare them to money. Some skills are $15 per hour. Some skills are $200 per hour
Right.
if you're consulting or this or that. So what runs a business are those skills that are 10 to 20 to maybe $30 per hour things, that the basic skills, but a lot of them, the boring ones. And what you normally find the entrepreneur doing those low skill stuff, although he has much more higher skill uh, value skills, but you find him doing the boring ones and neglecting what's really important for him to
Right.
do. Because those
Right.
things, everybody can do them. Why you're doing them? You shouldn't be
Yeah.
doing those. You should give them to those who want to start learning them and practicing them. And you should do the thing that only few people are capable of doing, which is developing a product, doing like a growth strategy, the things that really matter, making the value of your business higher by building systems. Not anybody can do those. No intern can do these stuff unless they have 20 years of experience in business.
Mm.
So that's where the focus should be always shifted, and those should be always given away for people who are in that level for that period of time.
Awesome.
Yeah,
It sounds like a great product. I look forward to seeing how things turn out, and hopefully we can have another one of these to review how things are going. Right.
absolutely. Yeah, you'll be updated.
All
Yeah.
right. Cool. Well, it was good talking to you. And
Thank
until next time, thanks, Huseyin.
Thank you so much.
Talk
See.
soon.
Bye bye.